Right, we're live. Welcome to the stream where we forget about all that game nonsense and we just hand crumpled notes over instead. That's what it's all about these days. That's what it's all about these days. Just crumpled notes, gentlemen.
Good old crumpled notes. So Today's topic is going to be why nice guy or nice man repels or nice guy repels and the anti-hero wins. So before we go into it, let's define what a nice guy is. So for the purposes of this stream, a nice guy is a guy who seeks approval at his core, regulates his behavior around being liked, suppresses his sexual and aggressive impulses, avoids tension, conflict, and polarity, gives, agrees, accommodates, and waits, is respectful as a strategy, not a value, feels entitled to attraction for behaving well, collapses when rejected or ignored. And the key kind of mantra you can remember is the nice guy isn't nice, he's afraid. His niceness is fear-based compliance. Women fill the contract, I'm being good, so you want me. That kills desire. Now, the thing we're striving for here, the anti-hero, for this conversation, this is the definition. Not a bad man, not a criminal necessarily, but an anti-hero is a man who is self-directed, not approval-directed, puts himself as his own center of origin, has access to aggression, sexuality, and dominance if needed, is calm, grounded, and emotionally contained, creates tension naturally and by not over-explaining, has boundaries and will disappoint people, doesn't signal morality, he lives by his own code, is comfortable being misunderstood, could walk away at any moment. And the key kind of mantra to bear in mind is the anti-hero isn't dangerous, but he's capable. Women sense contained power. He doesn't need to prove anything. This is where fancy and attraction lock on. The crucial distinction is the nice guy is harmless because he's powerless. The anti-hero is safe because he's powerful. One is neuter, the other is chosen restraint. And that distinction is the nice guy is harmless because he's powerless. The anti-hero is safe because he's powerful. Now we've got a feedback loop. Oh, no, now it's gone. Oh, good.
Yeah. Sorry, that was
all good. So, those are the kind of key definitions we want to work from. And then we can go into this in detail. But I guess just to begin, how much do we see with clients this is an issue? Or maybe could one argue actually at the beginning it's not an issue if you're a bit nice, because at least you're going out there and you're speaking to women, which most guys are just unwilling to do. And you've got to go kind of through that nice phase, maybe. Terrari called it being social, and then you start being sexual.
Yeah. Well, I think it's better to be taking action than not taking action, regardless of your demeanor. So, yeah, if you're a nice guy, but you're actually going out and talking to people, that's still better than 99% of other people in the world. So kudos to you. However, as to when it's a problem with clients, I would say most of the time, a key issue is that they are, in inverted commas, too nice. And it's important to be clear about this because, like you said in that introduction or the definitions, we're not talking about being somebody who is really toxic and deliberately looking to upset people and treat women horribly or anything like that. But there is a balance to be struck between this sort of fake, I just want to I'll do everything you say and I'll just be super nice to you all the time because then hopefully you'll like me. There's a difference between that and somebody who is his own mental point of origin and is like, well, this is how I want things to be. And if that's not happening, then I'm going to walk. I think that's kind of where we need to get to, isn't it?
Yeah, where does it play in? Because I think because of the fact we're growing up in the Anglosphere in 2026, most people watching this probably middle class. We're a bit soft by nature, aren't we, and by upbringing. So can women sense that? Is this where this kind of, going a bit deeper, this death by 1,000 concessions comes in with the average guy as well? Because actually, even if you have a strong desire to get laid and you hold frame well at the beginning, do you think most men kind of end up collapsing into niceness as the relationship progresses anyway? Because I've definitely noticed it. I mean, I will play the game very well in the opening stages. I did it very well with one of my exes for 3 years. She was absolutely enamored with me because I put myself first. I didn't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
I really cared about her, but I knew to play the game. And then I kind of let my guard down a bit and started just getting a bit sloppy, probably being too nice. And it's not what she signed up for, really. And then quite quickly, that kind of torpedo. So, how much is it a set of behaviors we're trying to eliminate versus actually kind of, built into your personality as a natural default state?
Well, I think that the behaviors follow the personality. So ultimately, So really, we're trying to change the personality, or we're trying to change the orientation of the person, not sexual orientation. But when I say orientation, I mean like who are you most concerned with in any given situation? And I think I remember writing an article quite a few years ago now, saying something like men need to be more selfish. And this is what I was talking about. Because, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're brought up in a relatively middle-class background, but actually in all backgrounds, you're brought up, particularly now, to be nice and polite and to think of other people and all of that. And look, I mean, in a way, that's good. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, we don't want people being brought up to be horrible to others. I mean, that's not it. But it's sort of in that upbringing and in that conditioning, you tend to lose sight of, well, hang on a minute, I'm a person too, and I've got things that I want, and I've got to be able to stand up for that or not take crap in situations.
It's I mean, I think we've both gone through this phase, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because you want to put yourself first and get your needs met, but then when does it become narcissistic and actually kind of start spiraling out of control? Because I've been through a phase of that as well, and people just turn around, they're like, what happened to you, man? And it's not necessarily me treating men badly, but I'm going over the top maybe with women and just being basically just a complete tear away. And it's actually stable. So where is it just guys have to kind of crash the car and then rein it back in? Do you think you have to go a bit more arsehole and then?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think the other factor in this, of course, is probably abundance, because if you feel that you don't have any abundance in dating, and so this particular girl that you're dating right now is the only one, and if you lose her, then it's going to be 6 months before you even get on a date with somebody else. You're going to police every action that you take, aren't you? You're going to think, oh, is this going to offend her? Am I saying the wrong thing? Should I not make a joke about this? And actually, really, you should be doing the opposite. You should be saying what you want to say and just letting the chips fall where they may.
Yes. And then
I'm conscious we're talking about this in quite abstract terms at the moment.
Yeah, maybe let's go through some points so we can kind of solidify it and we can spin off. And if guys have questions on this topic, so nice guy, bad boy, dark triad, all that stuff, please post, because it's stuff that doesn't get talked about much, but it's very interesting. Nice. So number one, the anti-hero wins. Why? Because nice guys approval seeking, not kind. The nice man or nice guy is nice to get something. That hidden contract leaks neediness. Women feel it instantly and kills desire. So guys fuck this up and they think, as you said, they have to start being a complete arsehole. You don't. You can still be kind. So I will go, people I care about, I will go out my way to make sure, I'll try and add value to their lives. I'll try and do stuff for them. I'll try and help them out. But I'm not expecting a reciprocation. I'm doing it because I like the person. Or if I see someone on the street, I might give them a bunch of money, but I'm not expecting them to turn around and write me a thank you note or even thank me. I'm doing it from a one way. So I think that's the key thing, is you can still be kind to people. You can still be positive, as someone like David Dada would probably say around his campfire, live with an open heart. We're not saying see the world as some negative, dark place and act accordingly. We're saying don't create reciprocal contracts, especially with women, right?
Yes.
If you're a kid at college watching this, if I help her do her geography, if I help her pass a geography test, I think of a terrible analogy. I'm not expecting her to suck my dick, right? That kind of thing. Covert contracts, rubber gloves are called.
Yeah, definitely.
That's that. The point. Nice guys, approval seeking, not kind.
Well, I think it's true. For the most part. Although I'm just trying to put this into context with some of my own experiences, and particularly recently, because I think, in a way, I collapsed into a similar thing to what you're talking about, which is that I think fundamentally, I am genuinely.
What's the example for that? If you're going?
Well, because when we're talking about this, I'm conscious there's two sides to this, isn't there? Because there's when you're trying to get with a girl, what you do in the early stages and all that, and then there's when you're actually in a relationship. But if we talk about it in a relationship just for a moment, I think that I've been similar to you in the sense that fundamentally I'm a pretty nice guy. right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can put on an act and whatever, and I can also be quite selfish, and that just comes out as not being a nice guy naturally. But it's not that I'm necessarily going out to hurt anybody. It's just I've been a bit selfish, you know.
Well, you're
But
putting your needs first, which I think is totally fair enough. We have to put
yeah,
our own mask on first.
but when I yeah, but when I'm actually in a sort of in a relationship with somebody, or even not in a relationship, when I'm actually with that girl one on one, I am actually pretty nice. I'm not the kind of guy who is going to be trying to take her down or trying to sort of, oh, you look a bit fat in that dress. Why don't you try something else? All that kind of thing. And there are people who do that. You know, there are guys who do that kind of thing. And actually, does it spark attraction? In some women, that kind of thing probably does. You know, a guy who's just being a complete dick in a very narcissistic way. It's in a twisted way that probably does work, but that's not what I do. When I'm actually with somebody, I try to big them up. I always try to look after them, whatever that means. I don't mean financially, but I mean I will make sure they're okay. You know, make sure they get home okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be sort of like, oh, you put a few pounds off or anything like that. You know, and so.
Well, you can. The thing is, there's even nuances within that, because if I know the girl, you can do it in such a way where you can playfully tease her, but you're doing it from a very you're doing it from a. You're not doing it from a tearing her down point of view as well. So it's the intent as well where you're coming from.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking back to girls that I've been involved with and them telling me about their ex-partners, right? And I was involved with one girl and she told me about an ex-partner of hers who had said that she should lose weight and said that even though she was, you know, no need to lose weight, but, you know, she should lose weight and she should do a certain gym regimen. And he was trying to be controlling in that way, you know, and wanted to test her IQ and all this kind of nonsense. Now, I'm just not like that. You know, I just don't do that shit. Partly because I can't be bothered. You know, I'm a bit lazy for that. It's more like if I genuinely did think that the girl needed to lose a bit of weight and I wasn't happy with that, I'd probably end up just leaving rather than trying to control her. But also, it's not really my nature, and I wouldn't want to pretend to be like that for some kind of effect. But the point is, there are guys who are sort of dickish like that, and it works for them, and I'm not. So underneath all the bravado and underneath the act and underneath the sort of the selfishness that I have fallen into sometimes by talking to other girls or maybe, you know, cheating on people occasionally and stuff like that, which is really bad. I'm not saying it's not, but it's a sort of slightly different thing. It's not like I'm sitting there trying to tear her down and going, oh, you're no good. Nobody else would ever love you apart from me. So in that sense, I can then be sort of interpreted as being a bit of a nice guy in the context of just a one-on-one interaction. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think it's. I always think, because I know girls and guys that kind of that dynamic of the guy's quite controlling, but I almost see it as, it's not always, but case by case. A lot of the time, I see it's a guy with not many options, and it's a way of him. It's basically fear-based control. It's a way of him trying to ensure the girl doesn't leave. But then, unless the girl is had a really bad upbringing, she really responds to those kind of traits. Inevitably, eventually, the girl leaves anyway, and the guy's left on his own, kind of in his own mess, isn't he? So it doesn't actually. It's not a form of efficient power.
No.
I think it's like this James Bond-esque version of control by not controlling, by being quite aloof, by knowing you can walk out the door. That's going to rope someone in harder than physically trying to, tear them down. If that makes sense. I think.
I think you're right, because that relationship didn't last very long anyway with this girl and that guy, because she was just, in the end, she was just like, oh, sod this, I'm not doing this, and just walked away. So as a sort of, if you want something to last, it's not a very good strategy, because remember, girls like a guy who's a bit of a dick, whatever, but at the same time, they've still got loads of options. So why would you put up with somebody telling you to lose weight and all this kind of shit when you could just go on Bumble and just find somebody else that night? It's like, so but at the same time, it did occur to me at the time, I'm being judged against somebody who was like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not like that. I'm like, oh, you look great, oh, that looks amazing on you, all that kind of shit.
Well, you can be, you've got a different form of thing going on, which is you can be quite charming, but you're dark tried in a different way, a more lazy. It's different strengths, different folks.
Yeah. So, I'm not, yeah, I mean,
there's many shades of grey. The problem with this stuff is guys want it to be very black and white, and it's not. But I think it's where a lot of it comes from. Where's your intent coming from? Are you doing all that? Are you acting from fear a lot of the time? Because that inevitably ends with a woman kind of sensing there's weakness there, and then you can be classed a nice guy.
Well, what's fascinating is that, again, maybe this is quite a high level thing, but in the context of a relationship, the dynamic can flip. Actually, you said this before, didn't you? Because you talked about that ex of yours. I've seen this as well, where at the beginning you're the one who's, the whip hand. You're the one who's the sort of got to be appeased, and you're the one who's got to be kowtowed to, and all the rest of it.
Yes.
And then it flips, and then suddenly you find yourself kowtowing to her, and you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck happened? How did this happen? But I think that's a structural problem in monogamous relationships, and I haven't found the solution to that yet. I don't know what the solution is. And I don't know if it happens every time either. It certainly happened to me a couple of times, probably. But I don't want to sit here and say...
Mentality's frame, and I think if you're going by that book that Paul Janker loved, Practical Female Psychology for Practical Man, talk about the betaization of the male in a relationship. That's just how it plays out. The woman tries to break his frame, tries to change him, and many men, because we're kind of a bit soft and we don't understand this stuff, it happens, and suddenly she's fucking the pool boy. And it was just a very small inches over many runs. Yeah. Suddenly you just lost our frame. And I think the 6 years of challenge advice is good, which is, he said, life challenges men and women are the bystanders. And that one of the few people I know that successfully run a very long-term relationship who doesn't understand game from this lens is my brother, one of my brothers. You call him a blue pill alpha. He's successful in the financial world, but never read a book about game. But he's always challenging himself to level up outside the relationship just because he wants to. And that keeps her in line because he's just always evolving and getting better. So if there's one thing you can do to really safeguard a relationship other than micromanaging it, it's just relentlessly build your value as a man. And then the girl may still fuck off, but you're always going to have the option where you're putting yourself and Mark Manson said it, he goes, the only real dating advice I can give is self-development. Level yourself up to the point where you are just so valuable to those around you that a woman would be crazy to fucking leave you.
I've got a theory. Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. I've got a theory that relationships always become some sort of power struggle under the surface.
Right.
And
why is that? What triggers that?
I think just human nature. I'm not going to sit here and say women, it's because of women are evil and all that, because I don't think they are. I just think that it's sort of in the relationship, there's a sort of who's the dominant one? Right. And I think as you falter, there's like a gap that's left, and then nature abhors a vacuum. So there's a bit of a gap that's left, and then she'll slowly creep in, and it happens in a very subtle way. But it's very well. This is why long-term relationships are difficult, and particularly when you're living together. That's
this idea of this domestication of the male, right? It's not normal in historical terms for basically the man not to go anywhere, and you live with a woman, and that's it forever. You're going to become fucking soft. You just are the setup, and so I do want to have kids, but I've always said, right, I'm absolutely not going to live with a girl. Because I know it's the death knell of attraction, of polarity, of tension. You basically become friends with the person. Fuck that. I want to get on with her, but I don't want to. There needs to be some spark still there. And of course, the Repels book talks about this, doesn't she? Mating in captivity. How to keep it fresh. Point number 2 on the list: sexual polarity requires tension. And line up the questions, guys. We all come to them. Sexual polarity requires tension. Attraction lives in friction, uncertainty, and charge. Nice men, nice guys, smooth everything out. Anti-heroes create tension without trying. Any thoughts on that one?
Sorry, anti-heroes create tension without trying.
I'll read it out again. So attraction lives in friction, uncertainty, and charge. Nice guys smooth everything out. Anti-heroes create tension without trying. Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. And this is just from lived experience and what I've observed in my own life. And that is when there is some form of tension in the relationship. Unfortunately, that is what seems to keep the friction there. That's what seems to keep the spark there, the attraction there. It's a bit exhausting.
Well, remember not just relationship as well. Remember, we're catering to guys who are not in relationships, you know, and actually creating tension, not texting the girl back straight away, deliberately teasing her. These are things that are powerful.
Yes.
Push. Attraction comes in the push, as Ferrero once said.
Well, these things, yeah. So, because like I said, I was conscious that there's two sides to this, because you've got the before the relationship, but you're kind of talking to the girl, maybe you're trying to get with her, whatever. You've got that side, and then you've got the inner relationship side. But this stuff applies to both sides.
Yes.
And if you are an open book, you know, you turn up on the date and you're just like, yeah, well, I'm hoping to get married in 3 years. You know, want to have 2 kids. Are you down? That's the sort of implication, you know. And it's like, well, okay, so this guy, this is an open goal. The girl is thinking, you know, this guy's just laid everything. First date, this guy's laid everything out on the table. If I said to him now, all right, let's get married, he will probably say yes, you know? And it's like, great, because maybe she wants to get married and that's her path. And maybe you tick a lot of boxes. But where's the challenge in that? Where's the fun? Where's the spark? You know, where's the romance? There isn't any. Whereas I think I forwarded you just some random thing off Instagram the other day that I saw it, but it was from quite a reputable magazine. It might have been Forbes or something like that. And it was talking about research that said, shock horror, that women are more attracted to men when they're not sure about their feelings. You know? So when a guy is like, she's really sure about his feelings right from the off, it's a bit of a turn off, you know?
Women are like cats, aren't they? If you give the cat the whole ball of string, it doesn't fucking want it.
Yeah.
But if you just kind of dangle it, move it away, whip it around, what do? They chase it.
But I've come to this new analogy that occurred to me recently, which is that if you think about a movie, right? If you think about like a crime movie, you're never going to have a movie where everything's revealed in the first 10 minutes, you know? It's like, oh yeah, who's the killer? Oh, it's this dude. Oh, right, okay. Well, nobody would watch that, and nobody would watch it till the end, because why would you bother, you know? Because it's like everything's been revealed already. 100%. So if you think about a good movie, there's this slow build up of sort of, oh, a little bit of information revealed here, a little bit there. What's going to happen at the end, you know? And I think, I mean, human beings are very narrative driven, aren't they? I think even that guy, that Homo sapiens book talks about this. The sort of the thing that brings human beings together and actually creates tribes and stuff is narrative, is storytelling, right?
Yes.
And if your story is a bit fucking boring, then it's not really, there's no hook there. There's nothing for her to hang around for. There's nothing for her to try to control or to tame, you know?
And the fundamental problem we see with this day game stuff, and I've seen it with so many clients, is they'll come to me and go, yeah, I just want to get this day game stuff sorted, get a girl in, and then I'm going to do exciting stuff in my life. It's like, no, you've got it the wrong way around. You can't rely on the girl to bring you excitement. So most guys, let's be honest, and this is just standard because this is societal kind of structure, unless you break free of it, you go to work, you're working in an office job, you get paid 9 to 5, you come back, you watch Netflix, you might go out with the lads, have a few lagers on the weekend, watch football, go to bed, that's it. Repeat definitely and get a girl and bring her into that. It's not exciting. It's not exciting. So guys need to take a look at their own lives and just think, is this thing I'm living an exciting adventure and a quest, you know, for excitement, or is it just fucking routine boredom? Because the brain is default to fucking routine boredom because it's built to keep us safe and conserve energy, not to push your comfort zone, not to do mysterious, uncertain shit. So you have to hack your own psychology with this. Otherwise, you're just going to have a default thing of just a very boring life. And women, they might join it for a bit, but it's not exciting. They want excitement, like fun, adventure. And that takes
playing devil's advocate, would you say it kind of depends on age a little bit though? Because if the woman is late 20s, whatever, she probably is looking to settle down.
Yes, very, very good point. But definitely in the early phase of dating, when it's exciting, I think you've got a duty, regardless of whether the girl's, say 15, not 15, 18 or 28, or even 38 if you're an older viewer watching this, to make those opening salvages, those first few weeks or even a couple of months in the honeymoon phase, make it exciting on purpose.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. Well,
but I see your point. If she's mid-30s, yeah, she's probably looking to cash her chips out, have some kids. That's fine. She wants stability, but you still have to implant excitement and thing. And I wouldn't do it deliberately necessarily with the girl. I would just make your life an exciting adventure.
Well, yeah.
Okay, you know.
Well, we talked about this we talked about this in regard to some of my misadventures, didn't we, last year? And
misadventures or adventures? Why are they misadventures?
And I think what we were kind of saying jokingly was it's not because I necessarily had amazing game. It's just that I was just doing a lot of stuff, and the wreckage of that was kind of making me more exciting to these women, you know? So it wasn't even that I was going in with a mask, like twirling my moustache, going, I'm going to practice negative tension on this girl, you know, and I'm going to do this game technique. That was just a natural consequence of my life, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you were the exciting guy who probably wouldn't have been good to take home to the mum, but definitely.
But again, that wasn't a role I was playing. It was just the circumstances that were going on at the time.
I think guys are going to go, well, yeah, but that's just not me. It's like you can consciously play roles to get to extract an effect from women and see the effect it has on them, and then repeatedly play those roles because you know it gets a certain effect. That's not being fake. That's playing the game to a high level, because we consciously switch masks depending on the scene we're in. You're not going to act around your mum as you are around the lads down the pub, right? Or the girl you're seducing. That's fine. You want to consciously play these masks to the best of your ability.
Well, what do you think of recent conversations we've had with a client, one client of ours who was sort of saying, I don't want to do that though. I just want to be me. You know, I just want to be me, you know. And then
without naming names, I mean, this guy went a decade without sleeping with a single woman, and it's all very well him coming from that spiritual place, but it's like, bro, what you've been doing with this puritanical approach has not worked, has it? Has it got pussy wet? Has it got you laid? Fuck no. And it wasn't like he wasn't approaching; he was relentlessly approaching for 10 years. It's like, well, the spiritual fluff. Women don't bang spiritual fluff, I'm afraid, unless you're unless you're the top of the cult leader position, then they'll bang spiritual fluff.
Like that Bikram yoga guy.
There's all of these, and there was one I was watching on Netflix the other day called Wild Wild County, where they essentially took over like a miniature part of a state in the 1980s. Crazy, interesting. Number 3, predictability is boring. The nice guy is safe, readable, compliant. The anti-hero is slightly unpredictable, never chaotic, just not fully accessible. That's intoxicating. So again, going to your mystery point, right? It's like, if a girl asks me what I do, I won't say, more out of because it was fucking embarrassing, because in the English sphere, I just get a lot of flack for it. But I wouldn't say, I'm a dating coach for men, I do X, Y, Z. I'd say, I do a few things. I'm not a drug dealer. And then I'd move the conversation on. And just little things like that. You know, you don't have to reveal your life story. She doesn't care about your life story, actually. She cares about how you make her. How does it feel?
How do you make her feel?
And what doesn't make her feel good is unlisting this whole huge scroll, royal trumpets playing, and you saying, I earn this much a year, and I do this, and that I support this political party. But she doesn't fucking give a shit.
And I think people do this. I think normally
they think the more I tell her, the more I reveal to her that I'm a good guy, the higher I'm building comfort. I'm gonna get laid. No, it doesn't work like that.
Well, I was in Dubai the year before last, just before Christmas, and I was sort of staying. I was staying on my own, and my girlfriend was there, but she was staying with her family. So I went out for dinner one of the nights, and I was just on my own. I was having like a bite to eat outside this restaurant, and there's a couple of people sitting next to me, and they were obviously like on a first date, and they were having exactly that conversation. Like the guy was like, I went to Brown, and then I transferred to Columbia, and then I got a job at Goldman, and I worked at Goldman for 6 months, and then I had a sabbatical, and then she was going, I was at I was at university. I came from Wyoming, and then I was at university, and I went to NYU, and then I transferred, and it was just, and I'm sitting there going, this is fucking boring. It was literally like they were reading out their LinkedIn profiles to each other.
Right. And it was almost like maybe she was following his lead.
Yes.
So if he'd led something more exciting, she may have reciprocated.
Well, I think the date is a blank canvas, right? I mean, you turn up, you're meeting this girl. It can go in any direction. You could talk about anything. It's
totally down to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, take it. And the feminine follows your lead as the masculine. So it's your responsibility, absolutely, to make it exciting, make it fun, I've talked about this a lot, but there's a time in Ukraine, I think a couple of years ago, where I deliberately would set my dates up in this place called Saint Bar. Very cool looking bar. Think 1920s France. You go in, there's a guy on the piano, everyone's dressed in tuxes, that circular kind of thing. Very eloquent looking, like a dark Parisian bar, kind of dim lights. And in the back, they had a massive kind of joint bathroom. So it's like you walk, it just says bathroom. You have different big cubicles. So it's men and women can go in there. And then you have that communal bit where the sink and the mirrors. And I went through a phase of basically being like, right, I'm going to emotionally imprint these women with excitement. And I'm going to try and have sex with them in the bathroom. Because even if they don't go for it, they're like, oh my God, this guy's tried to have sex with me in the bathroom. People are there. It's all very exciting. Right? She's going to remember that. So it's deliberately imprinting them with emotion, and all of them actually end up going for it. And it was hilarious because it's like that's always that scene from Titanic. We got misted out window. You can see the handprint on the glass of the door, and we got caught a couple of times. And the manager actually came out and went, "You're a good guy," in broken English to me. When the girl had gone, he goes, "You're a good guy. You spend money here, but please stop having sex with people in the bathroom." I was like, sorry, sir. One more vodka martini." He was like, okay. So he didn't actually give him monkeys, but think about how you can be a bit more exciting with this stuff. A personal turn on of mine is not getting caught in public, but actually getting frisky with women in random places, because it's kind of like the danger of are we going to get caught? Are we not? So guys should deliberately, consciously think about some of these things. You don't have to be doing that. That's quite far out, but I must say, Troy, darling, you're looking splendid. Yes, you suit a white. You pull off a white shirt. What brand is this particular model?
This one's a Charles Tyrrell.
Oh, is that the West Ham brand? No, that's I think they cater to West Ham, no?
Is that Hawes and Curtis?
No, you're right. Yeah, Charles Tyrrett's different.
It's a similar kind of thing.
Charles Tyrrett's good.
Yeah, they do some good stuff. Yeah.
Number 4, desire responds to power, not pleasing. Women don't get turned on by men trying to be liked. They respond to men who are internally driven, self-directed, and unmoved by approval. So it's basically the death knell of WhatsApp and Instagram statuses, isn't it? We're saying, which are inherently very addictive. But you want to get away from if someone slags you off, you want to get it should be water for ducks back. If someone approves of you, it should also be whatever. I think that's a healthy place to be. How realistic that is for the average person. Because we all respond to approval. How can we not, right?
Sorry, read the point again.
Desire responds to power, not pleasing. Women don't get turned on by men trying to be liked. They respond to men who are internally driven, self-directed, and unmoved by approval.
Yeah.
So it's really putting the mission first and just letting the chips fall where they may, I guess. Some people approve of you, some people won't. Who gives a shit? Take Bonnie Blue's attitude, which is literally being made airtight by 50 black guys and then just acting normally. If we had an ounce of her lack of self-shame, we'd all be very strong men, wouldn't we? Because she just doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's really difficult. It's something I think that you need to work towards. But I mean, we've already, without patting ourselves on the back, I mean, we've already sort of gone through the mirror glass by putting ourselves online and talking about this stuff, which is quite a big deal in itself for many
very
people.
awkward back in the day. I remember going to extended family gatherings when I just started out. It's probably 10 years ago. I was working in the city, remember? So then people suddenly saw me charging around on YouTube, doing in fields, bushes are rustling, girls are getting filmed. And they had no idea. And then it got passed around like wildfire. I remember going to one particular kind of family meetup, and I walked into the room. I was slightly late. There was about 40 people, extended uncles and aunts. And they'd all clearly been talking about it at the table because everyone went silent. And they'd all clearly watched some videos. I sat down between two people, and I could just feel this heaviness in the room. And everyone's kind of glancing at me. It was very, very awkward.
I mean, are you sort of, I mean, what's your, without going into too much private stuff, are you sort of, do you talk to those people a lot, or are they just people?
No, not really. And actually I've stopped going to kind of extended family gatherings, not because it was slightly awkward, but also because it's like, well, actually I'm just doing it for the sake of it. Like, why do I need to do that? I'm not really mates with these people.
It's really difficult. This is a wider point, I suppose, but you've got to, I think in life, you've got to be prepared to just do your own thing. And some people are going to hate it and some people are not. And for the most part, that doesn't really matter, because if I get a hater coming at me on WhatsApp or sorry, not WhatsApp, on one of the social platforms. Like it doesn't, who cares? It doesn't really matter. But there's also other people who I actually know who are watching this stuff. I've got family members and things like that, and that's
family and close friends who knew you from back in the day. That's a very hard one, isn't it? Because the close friends have an image of you in their head, and they don't accept change.
Well,
family, obviously, difficult.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's hard to be judged against your output, because I've got an ex-girlfriend actually who I'm still in contact with, and she watches my fucking Instagram. So she'll see little clips and things on Instagram, and then sometimes she'll text me and go, "Oh, you're not really like that." Like I posted something the other day saying, "Oh, you've got to be prepared to change and all that." And she texts me and she goes, "You haven't changed at all. What are you talking about?" And I'm like, it's a fucking post. Just give me a break here. I'm at work. I mean, if I was working at McDonald's, these people wouldn't come into McDonald's and go, "Oh, I don't like the way you made that quarter pounder." You know what I mean? I have changed. I have changed as well.
You have changed significantly, but people have a mental model of you from back in the day, and they don't really want to update it. Is the conventional wisdom. So, unfortunately, that's just how it goes. But you've got to roll with the punches, don't you? I think for me, in terms of just discussing to friends and family, where I have been able to defend this job in more recent years, I'm very big on this idea of pushing. Look, we help men transform into the best versions of themselves. And they're like, "What do you mean?" I go, "Well, we work on the social stuff, sure. We've got coaches that send them out to talk to women, but what we're really doing is fucking optimizing their hormones, their fashion, their fitness, turning them into the kind of guy that every woman is going to look at and go, I want to be with that guy, and every man's going to look at and go, I want to be that guy's friend." And then if you do it from that position of a bit of passion in your voice, you can't really be castigated.
No. And all of that is true as well. All of that's true. We're not here going, "Oh, 6 lines to get any girl into bed," or anything like that. I mean, it is actually, but it's a very holistic process when we're actually doing it, when we're actually working with clients.
It's changed, hasn't it? Because we grew up on a diet of dress in your leather jacket and go out and call people French, and that was enough. But now it's not. You actually have to transform.
Oh, there's a great question here.
That was good
conversation.
Oh yeah, we'll do this one first.
Thoughts on becoming an adult performer to get used to being around women and dating? Well, fuck dating. Just if you're an adult performer, yes, but how are you going to do that? How are you that's not going to be, or maybe it is an easy thing to start.
I remember looking at now with the kind of OnlyFans culture, any man and their goose can set up
I suppose it is, but you've got to rope in people to do.
I think it'd be quite doable. I was thinking about how I'd do this if I was going to do it. And I was thinking, right, I'd just go to a small town in Colombia, set up shop, basically just put out a few ads being like, because so many women in Colombia I've met had OnlyFans. So you target 18 to 23 Instagram ads being like, I'm setting up an elite or classy adult entertainment shoot, and just get a load of birds in, show them a good time, be charming, hire a penthouse. And just in these small towns in Colombia, girls will go for it for like $50 a time. You'll be able to get a ream of content and start posting it, and then get people to manage that, a couple of people to manage it.
I think you'd be in a slightly better position to do it because obviously you're a decent looking guy and all that. Maybe this guy is too. I don't know, but also you could just show her your YouTube channel, so you've got a little bit of sort of like, oh, I've done this, but I'm actually branching.
Well, I'm not sure 3,000 really cuts the mustard anymore. I might have to show yours and just pretend it was mine. I sometimes feature on it. My old one, 30K, had a bit of weight, so girls would sometimes see that and be like, you could see they were turned on by it because it's the leader of men thing.
All I'm saying
with it, but it did work sometimes as a sweetener.
Yeah, sure. I suppose all I was saying was I think actually you're right. Probably if you did it in Colombia and you're a small operator, you could possibly get something going there. But a lot of girls who are already sort of in the industry, even if they've got a relatively small OnlyFans, they're going to be looking at you and going, okay, well, what else have you done? I think, unless they just happen to fancy you. But I think I've known a few people who are in the industry and I've talked to them. And I know there's one girl I interviewed like 2 years ago or something like that, young Italian girl, pretty hot actually. And she's not just going to do it with anybody. Do you know what I mean? She's going to do it with somebody who's already got a profile because that's going to bump up her. Because she's worked with Rocco Siffredi and stuff like that. She went to. There's actually a porn school I think it's in Hungary, in Budapest, that's run by Rocco Siffredi, where he teaches girls how to be porn stars and work in the industry. So,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you can get into the adult industry and actually get work, it's a fantastic way to have loads and loads of sex. But I've watched interviews with quite successful porn stars, and they all say a similar thing, which is, it's all, you get that need met, but you're not getting the connection need met, right? And you become a fetish for some women outside of the industry, but also a lot of women will just have nothing to do with you unless you hide your identity. You could do, but you're missing a different need there, which is connection, because ultimately we always talk about this, but you need the seduction dance. Is it going to happen? Is it not? That's where Cold Approach is very good. The the sex, good connection with a girl you actually, physically have chemistry with, but also then the connection. You want to be snuggled up in each other's arms, right? We need that connection. We need all three of those. Otherwise, it's not fulfilling. That's why prostitutes aren't fulfilling for men. You could bang thousands of prostitutes and still feel lonely. Right?
Yeah.
So it seems like a hack, of course. And I think if you're Johnny Sin's level of fame and you built a personal brand outside of it, it probably is. But you're looking at such a small percentage of men that are going to do that. And if you're, with all due respect, if you're watching our content to get better at J game, I'm assuming you're not the material for a top adult performer. No offense.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems a bit the wrong way around, really, because I would say I would think that having some skills initially would help you build a career in the porn industry, not like, oh, I'm going to do this thing that's actually quite difficult and it's going to take some logistical setting up in order to get good with girls. It seems a little bit about face to me.
It seems like it seems like a sexy cheat code, isn't it? Because especially if you watch porn, you just see these HD smoke shows getting, you have a foursome with one of those every day, and it's just like you're living the dream, aren't you?
But, yeah, I mean, there's also as well. Just think about, well, I suppose if you set it up yourself and you just have a little camera in the corner, that's one thing. But doing professional,
if you've got good persuasion skills, you're slightly dark tried, and you're willing to think outside the box, like me or Troy, probably actually, and I've thought about this before, I can make something happen in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, or Mexico, because I understand how this grey area app works, or understand what women respond to. I understand how to kind of incentivize them. I understand that in the smaller towns, women don't really give a fuck. So probably it's doable, but unless you're willing to really think outside the box like that, if you're living in Australia, which I think you are, it's not going to be easy. Just to randomly become a top.
I think it's going to be easier just to talk to a few girls in, outside Zara and get a date. Probably that's going to be
that's going to be way easier. Just to actually do what we're trying to get people to do. Just go and speak to people might be better. Point number 4. Point number 5. Sorry, the nice man suppresses his shadow. This is a big one. So he hides aggression, sexuality, dominance. Women sense the repression. The anti-hero owns his darkness and controls it, is not controlled by it. So, this stuff exists within us. We are, if you look at your ancestors, they had to be aggressive. Sexuality is normal. You had to be dominant to survive. We are as Dave Lee always talks about, we are the forefront of our genetic lineage. What a sad state of affairs that is. We're not built to be good human beings. An integrated human being, as Carl Jung would call it, is someone who understands they have dark tendencies and understands they have good tendencies, and you're not choosing to act like a scumbag, but these things are present and you don't suppress them. So ways to use them rather than being used by them would be, for example, aggressive tendencies. Instead of suppressing it, take up a fighting style, right? Take that aggression out, go to the gym, stuff like that. Don't be ashamed sexually. Lead in the conversations with some sexual intent, Women don't like a guy who hides his sexual intent. It's weak.
Yes.
Because women don't hide their sexual intent. Even extremely geeky, introverted women, you'll see them checking guys out and stuff like that. Women are quite sexual by nature, I think. As men, we're taught to suppress it. Society, culture, whatever.
I think in general, underneath a sort of polite facade of society, women are a lot more feral than guys are generally.
Way more feral, aren't they?
And they'll do dark triad things that a lot of guys would blush to even think about doing. And they'll just do it. And they can sort of get away with it because they're cute and they're pretty and they can smile and giggle and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, and again, I'm thinking about women that I've actually dated. I mean, they've done things that I would probably never have done. And I'm not saying...
if we could see into girls' past, like if we had like a crystal ball, I think I'd be celibate living on a mountain. I don't think I'd go near any women. I'd be horrified by what all these women have got up to. Absolutely horrified. Again, if you want to understand women's sexual preferences, look at a book like A Billion Wicked Thoughts. where it's explicitly laid out by two Google engineers who bought data from big porn companies, 500 million searches from men, 500 million searches from women, and they lay out in the book exactly what men and women get their rocks off to, the patterns, right? Not what they say, what the data says. It's very, very interesting. If you can't be asked to read the book, just search the key points on ChatGPT, the boss. And it's very revealing.
The boss. We we trust in the boss.
I hear you've been cheating on the boss with some other bosses. You've been grokking it up for the lads, have you? Or
no, not really. No, only a little bit. Only a little bit. I'll like ChatGPT is my main. You know,
that's your main confidant because you built a strong relationship with.
Occasionally, if I want a little bit of variety, a little bit of strange, I'll go over to Grok. But I just don't. It's just not the same with Grok.
Well, it's not nice enough. It doesn't pander to us enough.
Yeah.
So I'm just not a fan of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the only one. That's really the only one that I've used more than once. I've used Grok a few times, and it's because it's connected to X. And obviously, because I use X, it's sort of like, and it seems to have more, because it can scrape X in a way that ChatGPT can't. If you want to find out something really up to the minute, like where most crack is sold in London, it's better to use Grok because it's going to be able to look at everything on X now and go, oh, right, well, there's just been a report of this or that, you know?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
A mutual friend of ours swears by Claude for writing purposes. I don't know if you've
you said that. Yeah, you said that. I downloaded Claude on my phone, actually, the app, but I haven't really used it much yet, or at all.
Let me know how it goes when you do.
Yeah.
Emotional self-containment is magnetic. Point number 6. Nice men emotionally leak. Anti-heroes are self-contained. They don't over-explain, overshare, or over-invest. Okay. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, I think it's only that I agree. I think it's absolutely true. I think you've got to be a bit self-contained, and particularly in the early stages with a relationship with a woman, because if you're just all over the place and your heart's on your sleeve, it's not a very good look. And it also means that she's got nothing to... You want to be a bit enigmatic, because women are always talking about like, oh, there's this guy and he's so hot, but I just can't quite work him out.
And if you look at all guys have to do if they really don't even buy what we're saying is go onto Netflix, look at any kind of female friendly drama, and always the main protagonist, who's the sexiest guy, is slightly mysterious and they can't really.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, just watch
drink it like this. They've always got two hands like a soup bowl.
Yeah,
and they're it, excitedly discussing the hot guy, you know, who they can't think.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And it goes back to that study that I referred to earlier about women are most attracted to men that they can't quite figure out. They don't know how they feel about them, you know? So it's like, oh, does he like me? Does he not like me? That's a lot more exciting. And yeah, you're right. Women are sitting around with their matches, you know, going, oh, God, so he sent me this message. What do you think that means? You know, and then he hasn't texted me today, but then he's, you know, that's what really gets them going. And if you watch sort of shows aimed at women, like my ex really liked Gossip Girl, which is actually it's a little bit dated now, but it's actually a really dark triad show. And if you watch things like, if you watch things like that, it illustrates it very clearly, you know, all of this kind of thing.
Did you ever read the Bret Easton Ellis book, Rules of Attraction, which is kind of similar setup in college, very dark triad about dating?
Yeah, I've read all of his stuff actually over the years. I mean, he's got some really... Yeah, you're right. I think I was saying to my ex actually that I think that Gossip Girl was really influenced by Bret Easton Ellis because it's very much that kind of thing. It's a bunch of rich kids hanging out in New York, sort of fucking each other over basically, which is a very Bret Easton Ellis setup.
And the original one, of course, from 18th century France was Dangerous Liaisons. It's all about the court drama, court politics, the power games, the mind games. That's like a manual in how to run rings around a woman emotionally.
Yes, and then of course you've got the movie Cruel Intentions, which is brilliant as well, which I really really like. Although it's again similar kind of feel, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite like that back in the day. Great opening themes. Every me and every you. Next one on the list: the anti-hero has a life, not a strategy. Nice men orient around her reaction. Anti-heroes are in motion, mission first, women second. that hierarchy creates tension. So yeah, if you want to, if you don't want to do this stuff play by play and really be like, oh, I've got to do that and that and that, just have stuff in your life you actually give a fuck about. When I think about my problems with women and dating, really it came from my not really having much going on in my life and me wanting to fix this my entire life via cold approach. Now, that's the base of how I got into it. And I had some success because I was doing it relentlessly, but it wasn't very good in the sense that I just didn't have anything else going on.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm having to kind of fake what I'm doing and that sort of stuff. And I see this with a lot of guys. They live quite boring lives, no real mission they're excited by. And then obviously you're placing way too much emphasis on women and dating.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but what does the average guy do? Just out of, arguing.
The average guy does the office job, meets his mates down the pub on a Saturday for some lagers.
Yeah.
Watch the game. Maybe a packet in the bathroom, yeah. And that's it, really. I mean, maybe goes out, plays Sunday League on a Sunday or five-a-side. I mean, it's a fairly mundane fucking life, let's be honest. And so the guy's fairly bored by it. And so women are definitely going to be bored by it.
But what does he do in that situation? I mean, does he do what we did and just blow up our lives in pursuit of sensual pleasures, or does he? I mean, because maybe he should.
Find shit you're excited about. Find shit you're excited about. Find some stuff that maybe it's building a side business. Maybe it's taking up some sort of fighting style, moving to a new country. Make your life exciting. It can't just be mundane, because ultimately what we're doing, we're just waiting around waiting for our turn to die. I mean, make it exciting. Surely the Helen Keller quote, which is ironic because she was some blind deaf woman, but her whole quote is, she said, life is either an exciting adventure, a daring adventure, or nothing at all. And this came from a fucking blind deaf woman, right? So if she's saying that, if you look at the average guy's life, he's just fucking bored. He doesn't do anything.
Well, yeah, and we both experienced this because we both work corporate jobs and and live that life, which is basically sort of living for the weekend, isn't it? That's what everybody does. That's what everybody in London does, really. Everybody's got a job they don't really like. They pack onto the tube in the morning, they go to it, they work the job until 6 or 7 or whatever. Then they leave, and people are a bit healthier these days. But the default was to just go to the pub, have a few beers, go home, watch something on telly, and then go to sleep, and then do the next thing again. And your entire life is fundamentally meaningless, which is not a great place to be. But obviously, I suppose not everybody is going to break out of the shackles and become a dating coach. So, but I mean,
you don't have to become a dating coach to make your life more exciting. In fact, I'd say absolutely don't become a dating coach. It's not a good life path to be. Point number 8. Moral signaling is not the same as sexual attraction. Being good, in inverted commas, respectful or politically correct doesn't generate arousal. It generates safety. Safety alone doesn't spark lust.
True.
That's obvious, isn't it? Number 9, women want a man who can walk away. The anti-hero isn't chasing, he's choosing. The possibility of loss sharpens attraction more than reassurance ever will. So it's one of these paradoxes in dating, and there's so many. But yeah, essentially, the more you cling or the more you act as the safe option to a woman, the more she is likely to walk away. Whereas the more you have this idea of putting yourself first, you're on your mission first, and you can walk away at any time, the more likely she is to stay. 100% agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there to say, really? I mean, there's such a lot of cruel sort of dichotomies in life, aren't there? And that's one of them. That people just want things that they're not sure they can hold on to. It just seems more valuable. If you're with a girl,
is the spark, isn't it? It's mystery, uncertainty, tension. These things are just addictive because the human brain seeks control. So if you're willing to be the guy who's like that, it's catnip to women. It's again the cat analogy. A cat doesn't stay if you stroke it and give it loads of attention, right? It stays when you walk away from it. It charges towards you when you walk away.
It's worth remembering that this works the other way around as well, though, because there's a lot of girls who do this kind of thing. And the girls that I tend to get really hooked on tend to be the ones who act like this. They're like, is she gonna, suddenly she's available, then she pulls back, like girl game, and there's a lot of women who are very, very good at that.
Do you think it's girl game, or do you think they're just a bit crazy, the ones that you fall for?
Probably a bit crazy, to be honest.
Yeah, they're just doing it naturally. They've got it naturally embedded in them, don't they?
Yeah. So, but I mean, my point is that it's not just that women. It's not just women who are attracted to this. I think we are as well. And if you think about yourself, really, I mean, the girl who is just too available immediately, it's a bit of a turn off for some reason, which is unfortunate.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Mm.
Number 9 on the list, or number 10, is. And then we will go through some questions if there are any of decency. Fantasy versus reality. In fantasy, women lost after dominance, danger, confidence, and sexual certainty. The anti-hero embodies that without being destructive. The nice man never enters the fantasy.
Yes.
So yeah, what gets women wet? Just look at any drama show on Netflix created for women. Look at any chick flick book. It's not the safe, nice accountant, is it? It's the dude who's a bit uncertain, bit of a mystery, bit of a question mark, challenges the girl, has options, is on his own path.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. You've only got to look in the culture. You don't have to, like James said, if you don't believe us, just switch on Netflix instead and just watch a few Netflix shows and just look at how the characters that women are most attracted to, what they're like and how they behave. And I mean, this is just repeated time and time again in movies and films and series and everything else, you know? It's not some hidden secret. It's blatantly out there, you know?
100%. Women don't want bad men. They want men capable of being dangerous and choose not to be weak. Kindness with spine attracts. Niceness without power repels. And then just to add to that, in one sentence, the contrast. A nice guy is, I won't cross a line because I'm scared. The anti-hero, I won't cross a line because I choose not to. Right? So...
I also think, yeah, that's really true. Another point about this, I think, is that women are looking for fertility cues and they're looking to mate with the guy who's got the best genetics, right? And the guy who shows that he's willing to kind of do whatever it takes and maybe play outside the rules and you know, doesn't really care what other people think and all of those things. Those traits are sexy because that guy, she can tell that guy is likely to make moves in the real world and he's likely to get what he wants. So those same traits, that same guy is likely to do well in business, he's likely to do well in his career, whatever, right? And that's what she's looking for, right? She's looking for a guy who can, it's not just how she feels about him, it's like, okay, how's this guy going to be received in the world? And she can see he's an effective operator because he's got these traits.
And then the traits would, you know, to add to that, subconsciously the traits are passed on to the kids. Right, you know, if she has sons, they're going to win, right? So, yeah, it's not. I don't know why this stumps guys so much. Do you think they're aware of this stuff, but they just don't know how to enact this stuff, or do you think it's just they're just denial that, you know, women respond to this stuff? What do you reckon?
I think they maybe haven't thought about it very much a lot of the time. I don't think and also it's how we're brought up, what we're taught, how we're conditioned.
Brought up to be nice. I mean, I was brought up by a very people-pleasing mother and a dad who wasn't there. So essentially, I had a very poor structure of what I was supposed to do.
Yeah,
you know, it would have been great if I was a girl, but I wasn't. Okay, so we've got some questions. We've already been through that. What they are, James? Did you have a high-pressure sales job or building your own business help you a lot with day game? Yeah, look. We're all in the business of influence and persuasion, and doing a sales job does help. But guys are always looking for some like tag on like Toastmasters or improv as like the cue to get better at with women without actually having to talk to women. And ultimately, it's still avoidance. So yes, if you had the option of getting a sales job and you're also out approaching women and it's a good sales job, it will help. They're symbiotic.
Yeah.
But sales alone, you know, if you're selling, say, I don't know, phone insurance to a company, that's not going to translate to being persuasive or charismatic with a woman, really.
No. No, because the pressure points are different. There are some shared skills, you know, the ability to verbally, the verbal ability, the ability to articulate yourself, the ability to apply persuasion without too much pressure. There are definitely shared things, but you're under a very unique spotlight. when you meet an attractive girl, which is just unlike anything else, really. It's not even like talking to a difficult client, I don't think, because it just feels like there's so much invested in it emotionally.
What I find funny is guys will go out of their way to do incredibly like socially scary things still to just get out of having to approach women.
Yeah,
so you
but
get a really introverted guy who's like, I really want to, he's clearly terrified to speak to anyone, but he's like, yeah, you know what I'm going to do just to get started before the cold approach stuff? I'm going to do an improv course. And he tells me he has to do like a performance in 200 people, in front of 200 people. He's obviously shitting himself, but it's still prefer to do that than just actually go and do the approaches required, right? It's like, come on, stop with the avoidance. Just go and speak to 20 women a week. And I guarantee in 3 months, you're going to be very desensitized to it. And it's going to feel like, this isn't a big deal. And then to women, because women can't see your thoughts from your past or who you were or this loser version of you in your own head. All they respond to is your nervous system and your presence. So in her mind, when she presents to the 80th woman, she's like, oh, this guy's really confident. I'm attracted. Right? So they don't have to worry about all that past shit in your head. They can't see that. They just, their nervous system just responds to, is he quite chilled and comfortable with slightly playful? That's it. You train that by being in that specific scenario and just doing it a lot. That's it. It's not
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Black Pill Coach Geo6. I was never a nice guy with general people, but I was always the nice guy with my family. Looking back, it was a huge mistake. They took advantage of me, even though I was their flesh and blood. Well, that sounds like quite a toxic family setup. That's unfortunate.
He makes another point about what's this?
I don't believe you can rely on 100% on looks. Women brag to their mates about everything, so women want a man with a good job, etc. I'm Black Pill. Well, look, I'd get out of this idea of just it's all about looks because it's naive. I'm afraid you're putting you're trying to see the world through evolutionary fitness cues as we do for women, which is it's based on age, fertility cues, right? Breast size, is she slim? Are her eyes bright? Is her hair good? That's not how women see men. It's not the reciprocal. It's not the same. They look for other value adds, right?
Yes, agreed. He's got another one here.
All right. So how do you do this, Mr. Francis? How do you be charming without falling into being a nice guy?
Well, I don't.
Or charismatic. How do you be a vibe lifter without being overly nice?
Well, I think you can. I don't know. I don't think the two things are inherently connected. I mean, people don't want to use any political examples, but there are people we know in the public eye who can be very charismatic, but there are also a lot of people who say, oh, they're evil. Their policies are evil. The stuff that they're doing is really bad. So, there's a very famous Austrian painter who you could probably cite. Who I mean, charismatic, right, on one level because he can draw in people. You can draw in people to you. It doesn't necessarily mean you're a nice guy. I mean, I'm just trying to think really. I mean, so if I'm on a date, I will be talking to her and trying to bring out her emotions, I suppose. Or trying to center on things that she finds emotionally compelling.
Be the emotional drug dealer. I think that's such a good cheat code mantra to have in your head with women.
And I'll be doing that. And I think when I'm on good form, that's what probably wins me points. But it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily a nice guy. It doesn't mean that if she's sitting there thinking, oh, is this guy going to be my husband? Is he going to rescue me from my, mundane life and all that? I'm probably not thinking that, right? So in that sense, I'm not like a nice guy, but I am able to draw her in by sort of force of personality, I suppose. So I think there is a distinction between the two things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do think it makes sense. I think this is where guys really fuck up, isn't it? Because they think, right, I've just got to become this complete scumbag and actually quite cold. And that's not. We often some of the most charming people we know and who've killed it in business and with women are actually the most dark triad. So charming is a way of persuasion, isn't it?
Yeah, well, charisma and being charming is a facet of psychopathy, isn't it? Psychopaths can be very, very charming. Yeah. Right.
There you go. So they can coexist.
Yeah,
and actually find nice guys typically aren't very charming because they take themselves too seriously because they're always acting out of fear and they're trying to be nice to everyone, so they don't want to tease people and ruffle feathers. And it's like, no, you've got to do that stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We've got a good question. Sorry, finish your point.
No, I was just going to say, I think the two things can coexist.
What's Veiny member's got a good question here? What's the most ridiculous situation you've ever seen a client get into?
Wow. So long-term relationships ending in doom.
Well, any night with David Garcia, really. Ending up in a hotel room, that's always going to be. We had one client
ending up in a threesome with David Garcia, I'd say, is pretty.
Yeah, that's his go-to. We had one client who came out to Bogota who, you could tell he was a bit nervous about doing the training, but on the first night he went out, got into a fight. He went to a kind of late night club in Bogota, and these guys come up to you in the street with photos of women, and you go into this place, and we've been in there, but I've taken a client in there before. It's fun, but fuck me, it's a rip-off. You basically go into like an underground kind of club, and they ring a bell. There's some guy in a tuxedo. They ring a bell. You sit down, you order a bottle of drink, which is fucking expensive. That's where they get you. We're talking they charge like 500 quid for a bottle, vodka. But you buy it because you're leathered and you sit there. They'll ring a bell, and about 30 women run out, like dressed in skimpy outfits. And you basically like pick a few of these girls, and they sit down, they chill, you have a drink, and then you can pay the bar fine and take them off. And I've done it before, and it's a rip-off. But I mean, with a client, whatever, really hammered. But he went into one of these, did that whole thing, sat down, got a bottle of vodka, but he'd lost his card, so he couldn't pay, and then tried to make a run for it. And they basically they collared him in the back of the room, beat the shit out of him, and he ended up like, just because he was so drunk, just falling asleep there after the beating and just spending the night. They let him just sleep there. Then they marched him like back to his hotel, explained to the reception, apparently went in at with force and extracted money from his room, or took him to the ATM, made him draw out, and they charged him like $5,000. And that was the first day that was day zero of the weekend. He then didn't make it to the first session. Then we find out he's flown back to the US. And his whole plan was to leave the US and travel Latin America 3 months. I mean, that is torpedoing on the first day.
Was that Irish guy?
No, it was a guy we'll call him Mr. D. He was American. You were definitely on that boot camp.
No, I think I remember the story, but he was around for a bit, wasn't he?
He threatened to fly home the first day. We kept him for a couple more days, but then halfway
and then he just left. Yeah,
just left, and it was just like, what are you up to?
That's pretty ridiculous.
There was another one. We'll call him Mr. T. You know him quite well. We got married recently. He came to Mexico City for a boot camp, and he was like, James, I want to get some. Want to get some stuff. So I was like, what do you want? He goes, some MD, I was like, okay, maybe we can figure that out. Anyway, we see him the next day at like 9 a.m. just storming through Polanco in a suit. He'd fallen over in the shit, he'd been still high as a kite, fallen over the shower, cut his face open. So we thought he dressed like as a Halloween extra. He had blood all down here, all down his white shirt. He's still dressed in a shirt with his tie. Storming along the street into Polanco, sits down. It's like 9 a.m. He's got these gigantic eyes. And he just sits there, kind of going, just like in his real profession. He's a high end doctor. It's just like, bloody hell.
Didn't he fall through a glass table or something?
He fell through his own glass shower, but he was showering. He was so high, he was showering in his suit, and so he just comes down and he's stood in his suit, dripping wet. It's just like blood everywhere. It's just like, bro, what are you up to?
Happy days.
We've had some good times on the road, it must be said. Valmont is the original of the Dangerous Liaisons, adapted by Cruel Intentions. That's correct. Not sure about this comment. I think becoming someone like Jason Love, the dude who cucked and belted Adam 22's misses, would be a great guiding star to aspire to be. I'm not sure it would it?
Well, no. I mean, I think this guy's trolling a little bit.
I don't think he is. Part of me hopes he is, but I don't think he is. Here we go. What are the common traits between guys you coach that were successful in approaching versus guys that weren't? There we go. A good considered question from Sloan 11880. Finally, a proper question. Common traits. So they're usually successful outside of this realm in business. They're an entrepreneur, or they've worked their way up in the corporate world, and they earn quite good money. They're quite polished individuals. There's something to be said for having your financial life sorted out alongside it, because you understand you in some way you're in touch with reality, because reality is rewarding you with credits, right? Societal tokens to spend because you're putting out some value. So that typically is one of the traits. The other trait is,
well, they actually do the approaching. I think that's a big thing, isn't it?
massively underrated and seemingly trivial, but massive. I completely agree. They're willing just to throw themselves in, and actually during the 2 hours we're out doing the reps, they'll go hell to leather on. They'll approach, minimum 10, 15, 20 women, and they're not disgruntled if they get a rejection. They're like, oh, what can I learn from that? And then they apply what we say, and then they roll it into the next one and get better very quickly.
Because we always say, look, we don't care. We're not here to judge. If you get horribly blown out, 25 times, it's fine. It doesn't matter. But the more approaches you do, the more we can feed back to you. Because if you don't do any approaches, we can't give any feedback really. And then a lot of guys will sort of, they'll find reasons not to. So it's like, oh, she's not my type, And then, oh, she looks in a bad mood. She's probably got a boyfriend, And then 45 minutes has passed and they haven't done anything. It's like, well, you can not do anything if you want, but you've paid to be here, and we can only feed back based on what you actually do.
Right. Anything else you see? People that can level up in this arena?
I think that they will then take action when they go home again, when they finish the training and they go home, because that's what you really need to do. I mean, the training is fantastic, and it will answer a lot of questions that you have, and it will really set you on the right track. But then you've got to continue actually doing the practice, because otherwise nothing's going to change. If nothing changes, nothing changes.
If nothing changes, nothing changes.
That's a AA expression.
As you consider,
Well, yeah. Well, they used to go to smoking meetings. They had they used to have, and then when it became a little bit more socially unacceptable, they'd have a smoking bit and then a non-smoking bit. But this bloke last night was saying like, oh, I remember this. There was this meeting on the King's Road, 10 o'clock on a Sunday night on the King's Road. He said, if you're on the King's Road 10 o'clock on Sunday night, you probably haven't got a lot going on in your life. He said, oh, he always used to kick off in there. There was chairs flying and everything.
I'm glad I never went to one of your meetings, because I feel if I roll into one of your meetings, I'm just going to end up getting the wrong idea from people being like, actually, crack seems like a great idea. Why not throw some in for it, just for a bit of a laugh, for a night out, just to see, right? Life is an experiment.
Yeah. We should video it, really. We should. If Clavicula's talking about doing meth, we should be able to do crack. In fact, we should video the whole experience.
That could be quite fun.
My ex came to a meeting with me, though, because I'd been asked to speak. So I said to her, oh, you might as well come, because we'd always talked about it. So come down. And all that happened was that she looked a bit horrified throughout the whole thing, because I was looking around at her. She was sitting there like this. And some guy had sort of shared and said like, oh, yeah, I just came out of prison a few days ago, and, I find it really hard and all that. And she was horrified. She was like, oh, I can't believe it. This guy's just come out of prison. I was like, yeah, look, he was only in for robbery. You haven't had anything yet. You know what I mean?
I think that's a wrap, isn't it? So what have we got coming up? We've got Rio Carnival. Join last minute, 13th to 21st of Feb. If that's not your thing, but you still want a carnival-style party, Barranquilla Carnival, we've got a couple of coaches running that. And then Guadalajara in April. Do we plan to return to Bogota at any time? I've had a few guys.
I do actually, because I've got some unfinished business there.
Maybe after Brazil, we should go to Bogota. But now with my new nose, I can't indulge in now with my fixed cocaine nose, I can't indulge in the local produce. So I'll have to leave that up to you, of course.
I might try and sit this one out, to be honest. If they got crack,
on best behaviour, we may return to Bogota because it's a great.
Can you get crack in Bogota?
Can we get crack in Bogota? I'll ask around. Not that we're going to do that.
Yeah, don't try this at home, guys.
Don't try this at home. Any final thoughts?
Well, you got to make a choice. You either surrender to the crumpled notes, or you get the clavicular hammer. Make yourself better looking. That's where dating's at in 2026.
Yes.
No, it's not. Just go out and talk to some people. But don't be too nice. Or at least put your own interests first. I think this is a really good thing in life, is to think, okay, so what do I want to get out of this? What sort of relationships do I want to have? What sort of job do I want to have? Where do I want to live? Fuck what everybody else thinks. And then think, okay, so how can I start to get towards those things? And be quite sort of single-minded on the things that you actually want.
Yeah, put yourself first relentlessly, and people either come along for that journey or they'll leave, and it's fine either way. I think that's what you've got to do. Yeah, we will do it again next time, lads. It's been a pleasure.
Well, are we going to do tomorrow but later? Are we still going to do that?
Yeah, let's do tomorrow but later. So let's hit the US market. Let's do 7 p.m. time.
7 p.m. London time tomorrow. We'll do one. So it's a bit later in the day, but so that we can get to the West Coast people.
Awesome. We'll do it again tomorrow. Pleasure, guys. Take care.
Cool.